There, quick little intro, just to show you that we're doing something official. Hello, I'm Demon Machine. This is, of course, the guest of all. We're going to be discussing the patch notes that came out yesterday, which would be Friday. And they're very large, long, big list of changes, and low cube exploding in front of my face. So, I guess we'll just jump right into it. If you would like to call us up, you can see right here the message, call us up on perfect.rain. And, you know, that is the main part of this conversation right here. So you can join us up, call us, let us know your thoughts and various crap. So, what do you guys think? I want initial impressions when you read this, other than going, holy shit, that's a long list.
Wow.
Well, was that an improper intro? I don't know.
Who knows?
Okay. Well, because from last patch where we got a bit like passive abilities and all the abilities getting changed and added, we thought that was pretty big. That just looks tiny compared to what's happening now. I mean, that is huge. I don't know where to start.
Well, they removed a couple abilities. What do you think about them removing those?
They removed 10 minions. It would have been a good ability if they made it make sense. Like, turn your enemies minions, and then they get experience for them.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
It would be better if you got the experience for them killing them.
Yeah, that would be much better. But instead, just they could remove it.
But then if they did that, would you guys not argue that it's, oh my god, it's overpowered because you can use it, I have to kill mine, and then I have to kill yours, and I get experience from yours, and you get experience from
mine.
mine.
I don't know how long the cooldown was anymore. I can't be bothered to look at it.
I think it was like a minute and a half cooldown.
I liked Reveal, though. I did like having Reveal as an ability, but it just kind of... It was just fun sometimes to have like some sudden vision of the entire jungle, and then they got rid of that as well, though.
Why do you think they got rid of that? Is it just unused?
Yeah, I think it's just unused. I mean, it was a fairly good ability, but it just kind of didn't really match up to, say, having the agility of Grief and Curse. And Hog, for that matter.
I just think it doesn't fit with the game style of Smite. I don't know. It feels more like a slow-paced, or it fits in more of a slow-paced game like LoL or Dota, instead of how fast-paced Smite is.
Yeah. I can see that. Jerbie, what do you think about stuff and things? Or did you run away?
You know...
Oh, there you are.
Oh, no, yeah, sorry, I'm just watching other stuff. I kind of get to looking at it, and you can kind of see the consistency factor with all the changes to gods and everything like that. Obviously, you see a few changes based off what the community wanted it, but for some, I just kind of see it as like a numerical value for high-res right now. A lot of the changes to different gods, whatever the case may be, didn't make a lot of sense. Especially, you know, like with Honor, they said, well, we're going to nerf Honor. We're going to nerf his leap by 2 seconds. Okay, that's a pretty damn big nerf. But in my mind, I'm kind of seeing it as they probably have like a numerical scale, and in the algorithm it says, well, if we reduce this by 2 seconds, then it's going to bring this point system down to a numerical value closer to the other gods. So therefore, that makes sense to us. Now, if that's the case or not, but it makes sense to me. And you know, obviously, increase in the Artemis ability by giving him immunity to CC while he's ultimate. Then he's probably adding a few points to that scale, which balances them out in their eyes. And that's kind of what I've seen like on a consistency factor as we kind of go along through the game.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. If that is the case, which obviously you need like official confirmation on that, if that is how they balance things, then I don't think that's necessarily the right way to go. A lot of the changes that were made didn't need to be made, or not enough changes were made. But aside from that, I thought they did really well with how they priced the boots and abilities now.
Cool. What did you find out about that? I saw you doing a lot of math on your stream yesterday.
Yeah, so basically what I was doing yesterday is obviously one of the big issues right now, which me and Alecyte were just talking about, is kind of the meta of running 80 mid, or AP, or any kind of ranged 80 mid, any kind of assassin 80 mid, and one of the big issues now is obviously with Hog. The problem is that with the 80 mid, you can run your core items with it, whether it be Heartseeker 1 into Hog and still have enough gold for pods, or you could run Executioner 1 or Boots 1 and still have a pot. But with the way the meta is right now, especially with Spear still being as potent as it is, with getting rank 3 Spear and getting true damage pretty much off that, you couldn't do it because you would come to mid with 0 pods, and obviously if you don't have pods, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And so now with this new change, you have 3 options. You can run Sphere 1 into Hog, which is still going to be required to get Hog. You have to now. They've made it a requirement. And so you can run Sphere 1 with Hog, get 2 pods. You can run Wall of Absolution with Hog and get 3 pods, and then you can run Boots. I think you can run Boots and Hog and still get 4 pods. So we'll see. We'll see if that makes a difference for AP mids, if it actually is able to counter it now.
So what do you guys think of it coming full circle and going, oh, we're complaining about Hog because everybody has to have it, and now it's back to everybody has to have it?
Yeah, me and Indrid were casting, we always cast together, and we'd be talking about this. The community was complaining because basically you were pigeonholed into this one ability to be competitive. And now we're seeing it to where the point where you're basically pigeonholed into this ability, at least some ability again, because I feel like you're going to have to buy an ability to begin. As Jerb was saying, mid, you basically have to buy Hands of the Gods. Other lanes, you're going to have to buy Creeping Curse or Heavenly Agility or some combination of abilities. So we're going right back with the Hands of the Gods meta, where you have to buy a singular ability to start off the game, and you can't really be competitive without doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me and Zal, we don't do this in like scrims or tournament matches, but in sort of normal duo queue, we'll just go double Hog lane like we used to, because it's easy pushing, sustained from the passive. It really didn't. It's kind of like it really has gone full circle, like double Hog meta, no Hog meta, 1 Hog meta, double Hog meta. It's kind of getting a bit. There's no kind of middle ground anymore. It just either goes to one extreme to another. It's really hard to get it to the point where like Hog is optional, but right now it's kind of just necessary. You can't not have it.
Well, with these type of games, are there really, once somebody figures out that, oh, Hog works the best in this situation, then everybody picks it up because they might get in that situation the most? I mean, how do you balance for variables that are player-induced? Because maybe with the Hog, you're more aggressive, and so in order to be counter-aggressive, you need to be stacked the same way, instead of, you could optionally take these because you can clear creeps and clear whatever else differently, but since they're running Hog and they're going to try and kill you, you got to basically come back with the same thing or else there's nothing to do about it. They need to come up with abilities that are basically offsets to, like, counter to a Hog. Maybe a Hand of the People.
Well,
It hurts gods, but doesn't hurt minions.
Well, see, the point is, the point we are in the game, the abilities are so cheap yet so strong. Usually that would work if the abilities weren't so strong for what they are. Usually the counter, if your opponent buys 2 abilities or buys 1 ability plus an item, and you buy 2 straight up ability or a level 2 item, you should be ahead of them. You should be able to deal more damage, in favor of a little bit more utility or whatever they're grabbing.
Well,
however, that's not the case. The abilities are too strong that even if you buy a level 2 item, you can't offset it with the amount of gold you have.
Well, then it kind of follows along the same point of, if, say, you bought level 2 of one ability and it outdid or level 2 of an item and it outdid the ability, then nobody would buy the abilities anymore, and people would be like, well, we need to buff the abilities.
Yeah, but you should have that trade-off. Abilities are usually more utility-based, while items should be more, whatever you're buying.
Stat-based. I don't know. Like, if I'm playing left lane, I'm usually a supportive role, so I don't tend to get items like I tend to go straight up to abilities, say Hog and Creep and Curse. I can hold my lane perfectly fine with no items. Like, it's no trouble at all. If I use my Hog, I'm ranged with Hades, I can just hold it for as long as I like, and no trouble at all. I can even fight. I can even dish out enough damage to be a threat with no items at all, whereas someone with items, say if they've got like Reinforced Boots or rank 1 Heartseeker, the difference is tiny. It really doesn't do much. Particularly early game, it's almost like you're almost better off getting abilities and items. Sure, it might slow you down a bit, but if you play well, the slowing effect of getting your build quicker is almost negligible.
So then how does it, as opposed to a game like League of Legends where it's very much a stats game versus a straight up ability to play, how do you think this makes the difference for them having to balance it? Because you can't say that, oh, well, you just got to balance it like League does or like Dota does, because it's not the same. When in League or Dota, all you have to be is in range and you can hit them. If you're not in range, I mean, here you can take your Odin and run all around an Artemis and smash her face in, and she can't do shit about it unless she's good at laying a trap and then backing off and kiting you or something. And so there's a lot of things that you could say are overpowered just because the player is extremely good at handling themselves. So how do you help? Go ahead.
I think it's one of those things where, and I know this has been brought up time after time after time and time. I think it's going to come down to Irish should be more open about what changes they're possibly implementing, or even what the community themselves think should be implemented.
Yeah.
Now you take those suggestions, you take the best of them, or the most critical of the case, whatever it is, and then once you've made a decision on it, then you kind of implement into a kind of a beta alpha, a side project or whatever, and you implement the changes that you want to do, and then you invite a bunch of people who can take those limits of what a god or gods can do, and kind of expand on it. Going into this, before the ability change where everything had a passive on it, could they have predicted that would make Baka or Rachni or pretty much any AD mid the strongest in the game? I mean, was that the prediction?
Yeah.
Did the internal testers at high res figure that out? Or could they have had a group of people who not necessarily are like the elite of the elite, but they've got experience with the game.
Right.
And,
they like to play it all the time.
They can sit there and theory craft on it and everything like that, and trying to figure out what is this going to evolve or devolve the game into? Because obviously, if you listen to to just the community, that's not necessarily a good thing. I know a lot of people said yesterday when they read the patch notes, obviously with the Gold Fury, that, oh my god, everybody's going to be doing level 1 Gold Fury fights, and it's going to be crazy, and it's just going to be a constant fight. No, not really. So, if you actually look at it in retrospect, if you do level 1 Gold Fury, it's going to be a negative thing on you. You're going to lose out so much. So yes, you're going to go level 5, or I'm sorry, S5 with 5 hogs to go do Gold Fury. You're going to take it in, I'm assuming, anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds. And the time span while you guys are all doing Gold Fury, we're taking green buff, we're taking blue buff, we're taking prop buff, we're taking all these different buffs. And then we're going to the lane. You might have a level advantage, but we've got buff advantage. And which lane is going to win out? Obviously, it's the lane with buff advantage, unless you really, really screw it up. So then the negative side of that is that everybody's predicting that there's going to be these big Gold Fury fights from the community basis, but then on the competitive scene, you see, well, there's not really going to be any kind of Gold Fury fights. It's still going to stay the same because it's too much of a risk. And then on top of that, like the 2 extra people that you've had to pull over for Gold Fury are going to be way the hell late getting back over the lane. So you have all these negative consequences to every single little action. And that's one of the things why Hi-Res has to get a group of people in there, whatever, if it's teams, if it's just a random select group of people to get in there and theorycraft every single step of the way.
Yeah. I mean, even Smurf brought it up that, and everybody else has brought it up with they need a play testing group just to test out what it is that's not strictly internal high res, because the other thing that they have to consider is the fact that these guys stare at the game all day working on it, trying to build this. They know all the statistics in and out because they're busy writing them down and making them happen. So they're very focused on certain aspects of the game versus... Here's a good way of putting it. One of my friends is a very good programmer, and he stopped playing games because he's like, I can't actually play a game. I play it, and I dissect the whole fucking thing when I'm playing it. I can't enjoy it anymore. And so we need people that want to make sure that they can enjoy the game as well as testing it out and do that. So, Erez, listen, give it a shot. Worst thing that'll happen is nothing. Worst thing that'll happen is it'll come back and the community will be like, holy crap, these guys suck at balancing the stuff. It's way overpowered. Then you can say, yeah, we're done with that test.
Yeah, it's not like it's going to cost them money.
Right. I mean,
it's not like, well, we're going to charge $100 to theorycraft for you. I mean,
pretty much what you're going to do
anyway. Nerds that enjoy the game, love it, want it to get better.
I can see the small problem with the whole scenario that would suggest is the fact that a certain group of people will have a jump on what the next patch is. So how will that affect the upper level play too?
Sometimes you just gotta suck it up. I mean, you look at WoW rating is the most perfect example. Okay, they select a random guilds or top level guilds or whatever to come test out these dungeons. Does every guild get to do it? No, but they still got to have that testing somewhere.
Right.
And
But is there a
There's a game I
Go ahead.
I'll go. There's a game I play, and they have a public test server for paying customers, and literally it just has it literally has the next patch on it, and people can go there and test anything that might be broken, and just free reign over everything. You can do what they like there, so long as they report any bugs they find, so that the developer can fix it. They tend to know, they do know what's coming up next, but it doesn't seem like no one seems to care. Like, in fact, people prefer to have some sort of warning about what's coming up so that they can prepare for it. Whereas we have this huge patch with no warning whatsoever until it's pretty much too late. Well, we've had some warning now because it's a much later patch, but in any case, suddenly Ares gets nerfed hugely, items get removed, jungle gets changed. It's a lot of stuff that we have had no input on, essentially.
Well,
So you understand why people are kind of pissed that, like, if you look at Arnher, his leap got nerfed. No one complained about the leap. No one in their right mind got pissed that the leap had too short a cooldown. Everyone was getting annoyed that it was pushing lanes in one hit by level 5 and slowing you to oblivion with his shifting sands, which is fine because it did get nerfed, but you see my point. We're getting no input until it's too late.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if you take the look at what the most people are talking about and then you see their changes, and it's like you guys can't be listening to us based off these changes. I mean, some of them it looks like it could be coincidence that you changed it and we were talking about it, or what? We're not sure.
But doesn't it look like a numerical system to you?
Yeah.
It does in some way, because, I mean, even like Bart was saying, with Wall of Absolution, people were buying it for mana, not for the protection. Personally, I did, because I liked having its passive and being tanky. But now it's become literally the magical Void Blade, in a sense. It's going to be bought way more. In fact, I would go so far as to say that magical supports will be pigeonholed into a single build.
Magical damage dealers are already pigeonholed for the most part. I mean, it's like Spear of the Magus, Void Stone, and Gem of Isolation. Sure, there's some deviance to that build, but for the most part, those are the items you build. I mean,
thing is, magical tanks, there is no deviance. It's Reinforced Boots, Void Stone, Son of Gaia, Wall of Solution, then, I don't know, Sovereignty or some other armor item. It really doesn't matter. That's literally it.
What item were you talking about, Resterian? They said no deck attack.
Wall of Absolution.
Okay.
Having a nice change.
I mean, I'm going to kind of lead that into the next thing, Like, mages right now especially have this problem. There's no incentive for building damage over tankiness / damage, Mid lane is basically Void Stone, Spear of the Magus. This item will come up. Gem of Isolation. Rod of Tahuti, you might buy it like 5th or 6th item if you are doing well and you have the money. But other than that, there's no reason to buy it because damage plus tankiness is just too strong at the moment. There's no incentive for buying pure damage. Book of Thoth, if you buy that, you're going to get bursted down in team fights instantly. Same with if you buy Rod of Tahuti earlier. There's just no reason for buying that. So I feel like they should do something with the meta. That's a harder project, but I feel like, they need to do something to the point where there's incentive for buying pure damage instead of just, oh, hey, you buy damage and you buy some tankiness. That's the only build you can really go.
By the way, not to interrupt, can you ban that fucking Smurf guy?
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyway, moving on. I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
So, were you done, Alecyte? I was going to let Brandon give us his immediate thoughts when he joins us here. Brandon?
I'm sorry, can we catch me up? I just rolled out of bed.
Oh, we were just talking about the patch.
Hey, Brandon.
I get an idea of tankiness versus damage, right?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Mostly in terms of mages. I mean, every class, but
Well, I mean, right now I think mages are just in a bad place. I mean, as of right now, every team has at most one mage, and even then we're sending Baka mid, we're sending Arachne mid, and then we're having Agni on side lane just throw bombs at people to stun them so our AD can blow them up. I don't really see a reason for a lot of bursty damage from mages because even with Sovereignty and Ares on your team, you're gonna blow them up. Like there's not enough defense in the game to stop most damage, especially tanky damage, from just going in. It's a matter of snowballing versus that, and mages don't snowball as hard because they have cooldowns. So you just dodge a raw beam, and then he's not doing anything to you for 9 seconds. Like so, it's really up to the developers to make new items, I think. And you mentioned Book of Thoth, and I constantly talk about how it's the worst item in the game because while the stats are decent, there's never a reason to buy it. If you ever have Book of Thoth on your build, you've built it correctly.
No, I was telling a DM like after looking at the patch notes and everything like that that it looked like when they're doing their patching that everything's on a numerical value to them, whether they buff something or nerf something. They're trying to get a numerical value. And
Yeah,
that's
they
kind
don't.
of
I don't think they
why you
understand
see
the application.
Right. That's
Yeah.
why you're kind of seeing lopsided nerfs, like the on her nerf of 2 seconds, probably made it numerically equivalent to, making Artemis CC immune.
Well, I mean, you've
So
seen
therefore,
what...
therefore, in their eyes, they're seeing it as this is now balanced.
Mhm. They've even stated it before, like Erez and I don't think Shadow Control, but maybe it was some of the other developers were saying that they're shooting for a 50-50 win rate where it comes to the gods and their statistics. When they start seeing somebody get really high and it starts getting out of balance, I guess on the terms of numerical, they shoot for a specific number that they're looking at in the stats, not
Which
so
is
much.
terrible.
Yeah, I mean,
Because there are 5 gods in the game that are played on both teams until level 6.
yeah.
And they preached about this. Like, Wukong's not unbalanced. Wukong is a 50% win ratio because he's on fucking both teams. He's on both teams. He wins and loses every single game until level 6.
Very true. Yeah, I mean, they also got to take into account how many people, have to run with the basic gods. Some people don't like to buy gods. They just want to learn those 5 forever or some junk,
I did really kind of just hit my head on the desk about the bans in the next patch.
oh yeah.
First, the 3 gods can't be banned, so Wukong is diplomatic immunity. I just wanted to just slap someone.
Especially because Artemis is like, we've been working a lot on Artemis. We have Harvest, we have Shing and Jerbie all working on Artemis because we knew that she was going to get buffed. And that CC immunity, like, I don't think people realize how big that is. 6 seconds of her walking around doing whatever she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
That's
She's going
big.
to ultimate just
that
for the
was-
CC immunity,
Insane.
not
And
just
we-
for the
we
snow.
love
It doesn't.
Artemis.
It doesn't dispel after the ball is dead. If you burst down the ball immediately, she's still immunity.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fucking nuts.
I love it. But not being able to, I mean, I assume when we do scrims and tournament matches, we're just going to agree, like, yo, Wukong is banned. Like, don't pick him. But I don't know. I guess it really depends on the tournament organizers that are running tournaments and stuff. But I mean, now that we have like the BLG ladder and the ESL ladder, and people are just going to be like, whatever, we matched up against you and we're playing monkey and you can hold that. Like, that's going to suck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, well then, if we look at again, we're on this numerical system. We look at a lot of these changes, like Ares right here is the best example in these patch notes. We look at his bolster defenses, his 2 is changed for some reason beyond me. When people are sitting here complaining about the base damage that he does, and the ability to basically force you to buy Aegis. No one's complaining about his bolster defenses. I mean, maybe there's somewhere some guy often is, but it's mainly his base damage and the fact that when he pulls you, he forces you to buy Aegis if you're a squishy, basically. So I don't know where that came from at all. That's another one of those numerical value things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and there's a an absolutely perfect example. The other day we screamed Reason Gaming, and this is in no way a bash whatsoever. And I don't want anybody to take it like that. The lineup was Drew, okay, Lazarus was playing Hell, and I was playing Bakasura. And Lazarus, without a doubt in my mind, the best Hell in the game. When it comes to accuracy with skill shots, rotation of skills, whatever the case may be. Without a doubt, best Hell in the game. There's no argument about that. But yet, while I was playing Bakasura, being able to control shield buff from shield buff from shield buff, literally taking 100 damage from his rank 5 spells, and I shit on him. Now, numerically, the two gods are probably balanced.
Mhm.
But in application, there's nothing he can do. There are no solutions. And it's not a bash. And I even know,
He can respawn.
right,
his
he can
option.
respawn.
Respawn.
And that's the worst part about going on a numerical system, if that is the way that they do it, which I'm really, really assuming that it is. But, that was the worst part about it. And it's kind of disheartening, it's because you have literally moved away from half the gods on the pool just so, for example, you can get these quote-unquote numerically accurate 6 gods in mid, whether it be Anhur, Baka, Arachne, Odin, Kali, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Because in the practical implication of what they do brings more to the table than the actual numerical implication of what the other gods can do. And it's silly.
Okay. Now, since we've just spent 35 minutes talking about what they did wrong with this patch, why don't we go over a couple things that they did right with this patch? Like, one of the things I'm very looking forward to is the fact that you do not have to remake your group every time you finish a game.
Yeah.
Small things like that are very nice.
I think I'm glad they got Thor buffed. Holy crap.
I don't think it's a buff. I mean, it's a buff, but I don't think it's going to matter.
It won't matter hugely, but it's something.
Thor's, at least they're trying, because Thor's bases are so low. Like, we were trying.
Yeah.
Shing was so pumped. Shing is screaming like, "Oh my god, I'm playing Thor again!" We played one game with Thor against what team was that? Aspect Gaming, and he's like, "Dude, I'm gonna get Thor back in there," and he got so shit on. And he's like, "I'm never playing Thor again. Like, I don't care about the buff. I'm never playing him again. He's just not strong enough."
I've tried Thor occasionally, and it's like, maybe this time I'll do well.
Yeah, right.
Nope. Fuck. Every time you just get completely shown.
So one thing I want to mention about these patch notes that everyone seems to be missing is that the patch doesn't come out until next week.
Yeah.
This is the first time Hi-Rez has actually been transparent about their changes and are allowing us to have an opinion before they just smack them in our faces. So big shout out to Hi-Rez, because this is the direction we need you to go in.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. Like, this was the best patch ever, if not for the fact that you just showed us you were going to do it first.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's all preliminary, so depending on what the reaction they get, they might change things, which is something.
Which is a very large something.
Yeah. I mean, I have doubts they will react to it, but if they do, props to them.
But the option is there now, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I think another good thing we could do as a community for Hi-Rez would be try to get a consensus among as many people as we can to give them a good idea of what we would like to see changed in the next patch where it comes to balance changes. Like, we're thinking so-and-so is too strong, this needs to be nerfed, this needs to be buffed a little bit, here's what we think. Can you guys let us know if that's something you're even considering? And that would be great if they would just respond and be like, okay, we'll look at that and see what we can come up with. Then that would, give them much bigger props on that too. Even if it's not playtesting the new patch, which would be the best idea. Yeah. Pretty much. It's early.
No, the one thing I'm happy about is they're changing basically the entire seeding for for ranked mode.
Yeah.
And which is, I think it says they're actually going to change everyone that already has it. Yeah, player rankings are going to be updated to reflect the new algorithm.
Mm-hmm.
So the top 100 or top 200 list is definitely going to be
Totally right.
50 to 100 of those people are just going to disappear from that list. It's going to be pretty interesting.
That's the hope.
I hope Shing is 10th.
10th from the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
basically
really
is the change that you can't come out of normals anything higher than 2,000 ELO. Or
yeah,
2K.
so again, a lot of those Smurfs that start out that these huge elos are just going to disappear off the list, because I think the minimum rank for the list right now is about 2,300. So a lot of those Smurfs are just going to disappear and never be, seen again.
Yeah.
Or at least that's a hope.
It's probably a good change. I just really wish they'd hurry up and just make it to where you could spam Q ranked.
Yeah.
I feel like
the
they could-
change to matchmaking is weird. It feels weird to me. Like, it's now a forced 5-minute queue, regardless what happens.
Which is probably better because I mean I've been in some 9-minute queues in the past couple days, and if I can see that I'm going to be in a queue in 3 minutes, because I mean I also have a lot of people are starting to complain about this now. I have a glitch where the game doesn't tell me that it's time for me to play.
Yeah.
So I'm just basically standing there doing nothing, trying to like watch out. So I mean I think every 5 minutes is fine. I mean, until they get a player base the size of League of Legends, it's going to be rough, trying to match people up. And I think this is a good solution.
Yeah.
But it never lasts 5 minutes, though, does it? I think it said average wait time is 2.5 minutes.
No.
The average
mine
wait
usually
time thing's BS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Usually waiting like a month.
It's better than
But
the,
now-
hour and a half wait times we had for a while there several months ago when they were throwing in new matchmaking stuff, and it was like, yay, Q match, and then you fall asleep.
No, but in terms of rank queues, I feel like we're almost to the point where we could get one going every half hour. I feel like that would be better, because if you finish your game, before the half-hour mark, then it'll go. Usually that doesn't happen, so maybe
Honestly,
not
I
the
think
best,
they should just take
but-
ranked out. I think it's pointless. I mean, right now, normal games are harder than ranked anyway. Ranked, if your top level is just Shing and Zatman on either side, and one's going to feed on the randoms. Whoever feeds first wins. That's pretty much always how it goes. And until like the player base gets larger, ranked is basically just unimportant EP nonsense. I'd rather everyone just be trying to play well instead of only the people in ranked.
Yeah.
Instead
very
of
true.
trying to tweak these things, they should be creating more tutorials for newer players, because, well, a lot of the skills in terms of like warding and positioning are going to transfer over from League of Legends. You have to, and Dota and Han, you still have to consider that every single thing in this game is a skill shot. So all those really terrible randoms from League of Legends are going to be even worse in this game. That someone needs to hold their hands, or the raging on the forums is never going to stop. Like, I have feeder at every game, make me better. I fixed the matchmaking. I have a neck beard, and I breathe out of my mouth. But like, I think it's in their best interest to cater to the really casual players, and instead of making games like Arena where you're going to jump out and die 700 times, it should just be like, hey guys, before you start playing normals, here's how you play. Like,
Yeah.
check these things out. And they did a few of those things, and some of them were pretty good. And I know BLG made some tutorials and stuff like that, and a lot of them are really great. And I think it'd be a really good use of everyone's time if we got more of those.
Actually, what we've been talking about over the past couple of weeks is making a mentoring system to try and get some of our pro guys to, start playing with groups of people and try and maybe being like the team captain or whatever, to helping them, helping direct them and give them a better idea of what they need to be doing in general. And so we're going to be like working on that whole little system and making it available to everybody once we get it done. And so it'll be like free of charge and everything. It's just we want to get the general level of the community up more, so that way everybody doesn't bitch so much.
I'll tell you what, man. Here lately, the random games that we've been queuing into have been harder than any kind of competition.
Yeah. And then, like, you always get these people on your team who are like 0-5, 0-11, and then you get on the other team where they're perfect, like, top-level builds, and they're warding, and you're just like, why is this harder than scrims? Like, come on. It's 2 hours into the game.
Yeah.
I don't even care about the people that feed. It's just the people that feed and then start blaming it on you, or start blaming it on the stupidest thing possible.
And
Yeah.
that's one thing that in any single game that you'll ever play.
Yeah.
I understand that this is a team game, but if you die, it's your fault. Plain and
Oh, yeah.
simple.
There was a
If-
guy. I'm
if
sorry
you
to
could-
interrupt you, Tim.
All right, just let me finish the thought. Like, let's me and Shing have this problem where one of us won't follow up if we're in the same lane, because me and Shing don't play together. Me and Harvest play together, and I'll blame him, or he'll blame me for each other's deaths. And honestly, when it comes down to the point, whoever dies, it's your fault, because you always have the option to not go in.
Yeah.
And in team games, that's not really, in like 5v5 in tournament, you really want to play as a team as much as possible. But when you're in solo queue, if you dive in and you expect your idiot random next to you to go in with you, like, you're out of your mind. Like, you're way dumber than he is.
Yeah,
So
because you're
don't die.
expecting them
Don't
to
get
read your
hit.
mind, and that's not.
Don't get hit.
Yeah.
There's never a reason to take damage in this game. You can
That's the
dodge
thing,
every
if you-
single attack.
If you're in a normal game, it kind of feels like I'm gonna hang back a bit and wait for them to go in because once they've gone in, they're in there. They won't back out. It's
Exactly.
that kind of set of players. Then you can just go in and do cleanup. I mean, I did that in a ranked game before. I just waited for someone to go in and like, lol, Wukong ulti, win the game every time. And that's kind of how you win it, but unless, of course, you just kind of get screwed over in your lane.
It all falls down to the age-old thing. Teamwork is overpowered. So I mean, if you can get in the teams that, like when I'm randomly playing, the teams that win the most, I know are the ones that when we get into the game, we're actually having discussion about what we're going to be doing in the game before we even start.
Yep.
You're like, oh, this is going to be a good
Oh,
game. Versus the one where I get in
I'll-
and they're like, I want mid, and you're like, but he might be better mid, and he's like, no, I'm taking mid.
Party.
No.
A fact. I'll tell you a fact that Harris Bart told us when we were in Paris when we were having dinner. He said that on average, the team with the most assists always wins.
Yeah.
The team with the most assists
I mean,
wins.
that's
more-
any game.
more often than not.
Well, it
That's
means
any-
that they're all involved is the best, I guess, way of looking
Yeah.
at it.
I would kill for that kind of discussion in my games. My discussion in my games consists of I pick Arachne, I say, okay, I'm going to go mid with Arachne. And then a guy
you're a
says to
jerk.
me, yeah, they say,
jungler.
no,
Fucking
Arachne's a
asshole.
jungler. Put Guan mid, you idiot.
Oh my god. One word, Guan. I had a full AP building Guan, and he said that, and I was like, Guan's a tank, not a mage. But without full AP, Guan's heal is useless. Guan
Yep.
isn't hell. And then the response was, hell is useless.
Uh,
I mean, of course, hell right now is outclassed by the AD mids, but she's by no means useless. Jesus.
See, I think
I
if
want
you
to
know,
kill some.
I think getting these builds down for people is half the battle. Like, it's not even doesn't even have to do with skill. If they have the build down, like they know what the best build is for the character, what you usually go, I think that's like half the battle right there. You know, at least if they have the correct build, they can go into a team fight
Yeah.
and do
Yeah.
something regardless of how good they are. So I feel like, you know, people just need to know what builds to do instead of, you
Speaking
know,
of which, isn't it the greatest when you're in a normal game and you're just not having a good game and your lane partner's getting crapped on and you have this Cupid that's just landing every heart bombs on you and killing you nonstop and then you see him build like reinforced boots Fatalis and you're just like, yes, still in the lead.
There is a song like, thank God, when like your random carries you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the worst.
but no, then it's like your lane partner and you are getting like destroyed, and then your lane partner still insists on building like glass cannon AP carrier, glass cannon AD, and you're just like, no, build a little bit more tankier if you're doing bad.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I'm,
what advice could we give to our viewers here to improve their play in, quick summations? Like, generally try and play as a team would be my advice. If the V system is what it's there for.
You know, I have a friend
Call missings.
in the game. His name is Which Makes You Bear. He's kind of a weird kid. And he came up with this strategy for normal games, and I to this day think it's probably the most genius thing I've ever heard. Every 3 or 4 minutes, he just types enemies missing. Not in any lane. He just types enemies missing, and he finds that all of his shitty teammates just play a little bit better.
Because they're all thinking about it now.
Because now they're all just like, oh shit, I better play safe then, since he called it, and I can read that, because my sound is blasting. So, enemies missing every few minutes. But I think the best advice that I've ever gotten in any game is just don't get hit. Anytime you take damage, it's your fault.
Yeah.
There's never a reason to take any damage. So, if you're fighting someone, and let's say it's like Wukong. Wukong from range has 3 moves that he can hit you with before his ult. And if you know where those 3 moves can land, you'll never take damage. So just pay attention and don't get hit.
Cool.
Yeah,
Resterian.
I mean, my thing. Oh,
Alright,
you want to
okay.
go in that order? You can
No.
go, Rusty.
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh.
Go ahead, Alecyte.
No, I think the biggest thing is, own up to everything that you do. Don't try and blame anyone else or you're never going to get better at all because, got to make sure that you take responsibility. You say that I made this mistake and then just go fix it instead of trying to blame someone else. As kind of DM was saying, just play passive. If you're not doing amazing, you're not the best player, just play passive. Get better, slowly improve. see what your opponents are doing to get that advantage and just, get better by playing passive.
Okay. Anyone else have any advice besides playing passive and don't get hit?
I think I should use the word careful instead of passive.
Play
I
smart.
think
Yeah, play
if
smart.
you see someone who seems to know what they're doing, like if you see anyone here, Alecyte, JB, Stermes, Brandon, even myself, if you see us in like a game with you, try to see what we're doing, look at our builds, see what because we know what we're doing. We've been here a while,
Yeah.
so if you do see us in game, kind of just try to pick up a few tips. Ask us you can just ask us, what should I build on said god, or shall we go in or whatever, or should we do fire giant? Because we're as far as I know, we're happy to help you.
Yeah, I mean, my other best advice would be try to be friendly to everybody else in the community.
Yeah.
Just because they're building the wrong items or anything like that doesn't mean that they're terrible, especially if they might be level 26 or 27, who knows how many games they played, but they might just be trying that god out for the first time. Try to be like, is, first time or anything we can do to help you versus why are you building that? That
But
kind
really,
of thing
though,
would
why
go.
are you guys building that?
Yeah, that's your
Why?
One
Oh.
thing that... Oh, sorry, go.
No, you go. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Irrelevant.
I was going to say, like, one thing that you should probably do is, if you notice, like, you're dying a lot or there's something, like, bad's happening to you in the game, don't get mad over it. Just focus on the game. That's one of the main things I see a lot of people doing, especially in some of the ranked games I go into. They'll start just, like, rage typing to their teammates. It's just like, calm yourself. Just focus on the game. That's all you have to do.
It's hard sometimes though.
Yeah.
when you get a 1 in 42 arachne, like Shing yesterday, Shing ends up going against Drew mid, and that's a relatively even matchup. They're kind of going at it back and forth and everything like that. But Shing's not even mad about that. As we're watching, we're sitting there laughing our ass off as Shing's bitches and moaning because every 30 seconds you would see an ally has been slain, 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 over and over and over again on Shing's team. So it's not even about, playing your own game. It's a damn team game. And if you're going in a top ranked elo game, you expect not necessarily teamwork to a competitive level, but you expect
Decent
competence.
performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And-
yeah,
and-
that
and I know
can
I-
always suck.
Yeah, and I hear it all the damn time. Well, dude, it's just a beta. There's not enough people. They haven't got enough practice. Well, and why are you bitching about it? Well, bitching about it because this is supposed to be the top of the top people. The competent ones, the ones that have dedicated a lot of time to get to that high elo.
Right.
And they're performing like people who are level 1 to 6, if not worse. And that's the irritating factor. Obviously, the people that play at the top level, they're competitive ass people, and when you're not able to compete because of lackluster performance, to put it nicely, you get pissed.
Yeah, I mean, you're like, I'm spending this time trying to improve myself, and all you're doing is just ruining, like, the entire game. I can't even practice well now because it's
Right.
not even fair.
I think it's the feeling of powerlessness that really kind of gets to people when, say, if you're in mid and then your two side lanes just going, ally's been slain, like every 20 seconds, and you just know the game's lost. You can't do crap about it. You could win your mid lane 20-0 and you still get shot on by the 4 other people who just got fed to crap. All you can do there is say we surrender at 10 and go for a different one, because to sort of go, okay, this is over. Don't get mad, just chalk it up to I had shitties. Or the
Yeah.
other team played better, whichever way you want to look at it.
Which people could actually turn and look at themselves a lot, too, which would be, instead of me having to point out, you've died like 15 times, why do you think that is? What can we do to keep you from dying 15 times the next game? That'd be nice for people to actually be able to do that for themselves, too. So that is part of the community having to do it on their own.
Yeah, but the thing is, people don't care. There's these people that, they don't care about improving their play. They just run in. They don't ask themselves what I did wrong. They just said, it's my team's fault. It's their fault for not calling Mia. Or, it's my lane partner's fault for not helping me. They don't care about improving. They just want to put out excuses all the time.
There's always an answer like, oh, you guys didn't call me up, buy wards. My lane partner keeps dying, buy defense. Protect him. I mean, there's always an answer. Every time you have a complaint, there's something you can do to fix it. I mean, granted, there's going to be those games where you have your left lane go 0-9, 0-11, and you're going to lose. I mean, you're going to lose. It happens. But most of the time, and I'd say about 80 to 90% of the time, there's something you can do to fix the outcome of the game. And if you don't, if what?
Nah, you keep going.
If you don't want to look for those options, you're going to be a shit player in anything that you play, or you're going to just be shit at anything that you do.
Yeah.
Man up. Do what you got to do. And if you can't do it, do something else.
Well, I started noticing some of my games was that, well, I first had it done against me and started picking up on it and doing it myself. As if you see someone you recognize in the team, someone fairly, to be very good, so sometimes I get sort of picked out because I have my big fat BLGU name going on. And what I find is I go to the left jungle as I usually do, and suddenly I have like 2 or 3 people just suddenly invade mercilessly onto me and try and shut me down. Because most people know that I'm good, I can play well, I know what I'm doing, and then they'll just go out of their way to make sure I have the shittiest game in the history of Smite. So I do the same to other people. Like I'm in ranked and I see Sion in mid, I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna gank him every like minute just to shut him down. Because once you take away someone you know to be good, who might possibly be the
Carry
best
the
player
game.
on their team, once they're down, it's your randoms have a chance.
Yeah.
It becomes shitty on shitty.
Yeah. You're just trying to make the level. You're trying to bring everybody's level down to whatever the randoms could be.
So if you're like a normal game, you could go as to say memorize the name of the person at the top of the enemy's God select and just mercilessly pick on that person, and you might just win.
Smack tricks. I wouldn't go that far.
Mm.
Even with the Kappa. That's outrageous.
Very true.
Smack.
Yeah, but how do you get a whole community to improve in general, other than the things we've talked about? Is there anything else we might have missed?
Yelling at them.
I mean, like,
Yelling at them mercilessly.
I mean, that worked for me in Smash. Like, if someone has something to say and they're not as good as me, they're going to get lectured. Plain and simple. I mean, if you think you know better than I do in this game, you're just out of your fucking mind. Unless you're on my team or on another team that's, going even with mine, you should have no opinion against mine. we're not having an argument. We're not having a discussion. I am lecturing you about how fucking dumb you are. Okay, so if you hear me tell you something, do it. I'm smarter than you.
You heard it here first, people.
That's probably
Brandon is smarter
probably
than
not the
you.
first time.
No, I'm sure it's not the first time. Not the first time anyone has heard that.
But it is true. You
You heard that here first.
If someone is clearly, Brandon is smarter than you is true. But if you do see someone who's clearly, quite obviously better than you, listen to them. Don't argue with them. Don't tell them they're bad, because they will just laugh at you, and say you're a lost cause. Because if you haven't the sort of kind of self-restraint to kind of bring your own ego down, actually listen to someone who is probably trying to help you here, and then you just go, fuck it, you're bad, noob, whatever, then it's your own fault. If you can't take advice, then you just ruin it for yourself, really.
Here's another thing that you have to keep in mind with that is that if you're in a game with Brandon and he's telling you what to do, it's not, even if it's because you're bad, it's because he wants to win the game, so he's not going to give you bad advice. I want to win this game. You need to do something a little bit different or a lot different. Please start trying.
A lot of that. I'm an older guy. I'm 26, right? So I've been playing online games for a long time. Yeah, I know. So I think it's so crazy that so many people are willing to complain about bad builds and bad teammates, because back when online games first started, I don't know, just fuck off. If for gaming, I'm old as shit. I've come down to this. So when I was first getting into online games, and I'm talking about 10 years ago, you had people who just played online games to kill their teammates and laugh about it.
Yeah.
The fact that you have a full team of people every game that just wants to win is outrageous to me. Like, the fact that we can just play every game and every single person on the team has no interest in trying to fuck you over. They want to win. So when they're telling you to fuck off, they're saying it because they're being defensive because they want to win and they don't know how to get better. So, I mean, granted, they're going to be assholes, and sometimes you're not going to deal with it. But when you do have patience, give them some advice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably the biggest reason why people even do rank in the first place, because obviously it takes a special kind of person to have that kind of patience. Honest to God, like, not all of us here are going to sit there and take the time, okay, player X, you know, you need to do this, this, and this, and this. I know personally I'm one of those people that I just want to play the damn game, and hopefully everybody knows their job. Exactly. I don't want to think. And
no one come near me.
Exactly. I'm a hermit. But, going into these ranked games, and why I and we want competitive ranked games and it fixes, because sometimes we don't want to have to teach somebody. We want to go into the game and just have a nice, relaxing game where people generally know their job. You don't have to sit there and explain it, and that's probably one of the biggest concerns. You shouldn't go into the top ELO game and say, okay, let's have a talk.
Yeah.
Let's talk about how to play this game. And then you got Bart casting it in front of 500, 2,000
So
people.
now everybody has to be a tryhard and shit talk your teammates when they start losing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then on top of that, they see, because of your team going 0-49,000, then therefore there's only so much you can do, and you're probably going to go -2, and then everybody sees you as a shitty too. So it's a big reputation factor.
Yeah, I think it all comes down to we need more tutorials in general for people.
Yeah.
Because MOBAs are a hard genre to learn. I mean, Smite may not be the hardest one to learn.
I think
but
Smite is absolutely the hardest one.
You think so?
Yeah.
Why 4?
But
It's just because, like, you have skill shots.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's it. Like, you're playing you're basically playing 3 different types of games at once.
Yeah.
I mean, MOBAs generally have been auto-targeting to this point. I mean, unless you count Bloodlight Champions, which was all targeted as well, but that's still isometric. It's very easy. I mean, in this game, if I go up against a person who's like below level 10 and is like actively below level 10, I'll dodge your melees. Almost everyone, I'll dodge them.
Can you pick up
I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, do you mind me?
No, go ahead.
No, I just mean, can you pick up a gun right off the bat and lead a shot?
Yeah.
no, wait.
I see what he's saying. That
Like-
you got to learn to lead your shots. You got to learn to all the controls, how to strafe, how to dodge things, how to avoid things. It's not just click away and you're safe.
And now you still have to worry about builds. Everybody should be warding. You have to know positioning for Fire Giant and Gold Fury. You have to be able to take your bus there. This is probably, it's probably the hardest game to learn right now, just because the meta that we're putting forth is not only changing every 3 to 4 weeks, but it's new. Like, if you go to League of Legends, if you even remotely try to bring a character bottom that doesn't belong bottom, you're going to have 4 people start screaming at you. In this game, if you decide you want to go Zeus middle, there's only going to be one person on the team calling you an asshole. Granted, all 4 of them should be calling you an asshole, but there's only one person on the team. And if you go in and you're new and you're like, I'm going Zeus mid, and one person's calling you a dickhead, and 3 other people are like, let him do what he wants, he's going to assume, like, this is an okay thing for me to do. So until the game actually grows, it's going to be the hardest to learn, just because there's nowhere to learn from.
Right. I mean, the best thing we have is streams. And
Yeah, again, this goes to the tutorials, because, they come into this MOBA genre, and they basically know you attack the towers. That's basically what they know. They don't know all these deeper thoughts behind it, that it's this mixture of all these games. So I feel like we do need better tutorials, whether the community comes up with them or Hi-Rez does.
This game does not have a higher skill cap than Bloodline Champions? Well, that's just stupid.
BLC was pretty...
I'm going to
it's
ignore
different.
that.
It's vastly
I'm going to actively choose it. And yes, it is the most difficult to learn, because you have all these aspects of different games coming in, and you're playing it instead of overhead. And I mean, I don't know a single person who would disagree that playing isometrically is a lot easier to aim things than playing in third person.
I came from... In fairness, I started off MOBAs in the third person perspective. I played a fairly... I was like, wow, this is completely new. I never played this before. Was Loco. I don't know, people might have heard of it. And it flopped. It just completely flopped. The management was terrible. the balancing was horrendous, and so I left and moved on to and I heard about Smite, but it was still like a year before it was going to be into closed beta. So I'll watch it, but I don't know when it's coming out. So then a friend of mine offered me a closed beta to a Korean game called Cyphers, yet another third-person MOBA, and it was loads of fun, but it was Korean, so I lagged like shit. And only then did I go into League of Legends. Only then did I actually realize what the genre was properly.
Mhm.
And then obviously by then, Smite was about to come out. So for me, Smite was almost really easy to pick up because I was more accustomed to the third-person perspective. I had that advantage, so I just soared up into the
Yeah.
just playing meticulously because I loved it. It was something I really enjoyed. It was it probably is my favorite type of game. And then I see people who come from League and Dota who had knowledge of the genre but don't know how to work around having half their entire awareness just shrunk down to this single point. And I think a lot of them tend to kind of almost lose out at that point because they're used to being able to look around the entire map, that when they come down to being in a third-person perspective in a localized area, they completely just flop because they have no awareness.
Oh my god.
Whereas I feel like League is partially a crutch, but also helpful at the same time. A crutch because you're used to isometric and you used to auto-targeting skills, so your aim is going to be off, your awareness is going to be absolutely terrible.
Mm-hmm.
But you will understand how items and the builds work.
I like what Pij3 said. Pij3. I think they should have a little drop-down menu in the character selection where you can show what you want to play in that game. Like maybe they have a little shield or a little, sword and shit like that, where you get in there and you're like, I want to play something that's damage. I want to play a support. I want to play a tank. And so that way you have a general idea, even before they pick their god, of what they're going to build and stuff like that. So that way if they say, I'm going to play a tank, and then they pick, Hades. Okay, so you're going to play Hades tank, or you're going to play, Guan Yu as a healer, if you're going to put the little support thing next to it, or a plus sign for a healer, and you're like, okay, maybe not the best idea, but if you're going for it, we'll give it a shot. At least you can have a general idea what they're planning before they even go into it, which might actually help out in general, because I think a lot of the random teams have a problem of they don't know what the hell everybody else is doing. They're playing this god, then they build it completely weird because they might be trying something new and it's just not working out right. Maybe they could use some help and it would work out great. Maybe? No?
Well,
you don't like that idea?
I don't know if I like that idea. Not to mention, if we look at the beginning of the 5 starting gods, what are you going to do about that? Let's see, what is
I kind of hope that they would rotate that.
2 ADs.
I think I
Ymir,
prefer it.
tank. So I don't know.
I prefer it didn't have a rotation, but more like you hit. They've the original gods like Archon, Anubis, Agni, Bastet, Artemis, Ymir. Those original ones that came out that were there at the beginning and not the new release gods. Just have those sort of select ones that a new account creates and just say pick 5. So they don't have to say these can't be banned because they must at least have one available. Really. I just think having those 5 just skews too much. It just really does make it's almost detrimental to the game itself. You could literally chalk up Artemis's crappiness, Wukong's inability to get nerfed down to that.
It's very true. Yeah, I mean, if they want to get true statistics, they need to make sure that they don't pigeonhole a bunch of people into playing 5 gods forever. Or for a very long time before they even start.
I mean, for the most part, Ra's decent, Wukong's great, Ymir's great, and then Artemis is severely underplayed at top level, and Kali's severely underplayed at top level. So you have 2 gods who generally are looked at as not good. And while some people say Kali mid is good, I think Kali mid is terrible. Just for the reference, I think she's just useless. But I mean, you have these 5 starting gods, and 3 people are going to get pretty good experience for top level play playing decent gods, and 2 people are just going to be, like you said, pigeonholed into playing these gods they're probably not going to want to play and probably will never play once. Maybe after the patch, Artemis is going to be good, but they're stuck playing these gods that are never going to be viable, and it's never going to switch. So if they only decide to play for 2 weeks, they're playing 5 to 6 gods only, and then never going to play the game again. I mean, League, they're doing the 10 god switch every week. It's giving people a really fair chance if they don't want to spend money to get a feel of how the game's played at a whole bunch of different angles. And as of right now, I mean, the game, like I said before, the meta for League is, you're going top with a bruiser or someone who can sustain themselves, and you're going to go bottom with an AD carry and a support. You're going mid with a, blah, blah, blah. You're always going to be in those things because people know, like, this is what you have to do as that character, and they will tell you that. But in novice games right now, there's no meta for level 6, so people are just like, you're a Kali, you want to go right lane and then not get any buffs, that's fine. You do whatever you want, buddy. We trust you. Yeah. And without and this goes back to the tutorial thing, we need more tutorials. We need more gods for new players to start with. Otherwise, the game's going to have a lot of people who start playing and then just give up after a week.
Yeah, because it takes a good bit of time investment to get past that point. And unless you're willing to throw down money, and you're not willing to throw down money if you haven't had a chance to play it with, more gods than you want. I think that's kind of what they're going for with the renting system. But I'm not sure how I feel about the renting system. I would like to see them rotate because, I think that would get a lot of people that tried it once and they're like, well, shit, I don't like any of these gods. I'll wait till 2 weeks from now when they rotate and we get, 5 or 6 more different ones, and then I'll try it then. Maybe I'll like one of them. And I think it could actually benefit high-res greatly if they get people to, keep coming back for the different rotations to try out different people. Especially if they do the League of Legends style where the next time it rotates after a patch, you get the last released god. So, like, they would get Loki this past week. Something like that. Because then they could play the most recent one and be like, oh, look at that. He's a whole lot of fun. They really did a lot of good with him or something to that effect. And so I think that they need to try that. Go ahead.
The only problem, I think, is that with these 5 gods, at least people are getting good and knowing how to use, gods very well. If we send in different 5 gods every week, people basically have to learn a new god every time the rotation comes around. So it almost lowers the general skill cap because, they're learning a new god every week. So I don't know.
See, I don't like that because the game in terms of like playing a character isn't that difficult. I mean, granted, you have to do skill shots, but once you play a character 3 or 4 times at lower to mid skill levels, you're going to be just as good as the character you were playing before. I mean, as soon as you understand what the moves do. But when you play a new god, you understand what they can do. So if you go up against Anubis 6 times, you're going to be like, why do I keep getting slowed? Like, okay, I know that I have to avoid this mummy rat, but I don't understand why I keep dying. If you play Anubis and you start getting shit on, you realize like, okay, this is what I have to do to kill him. Right. Playing a god will make you better than playing against him.
Whether you win or lose.
100% of the time.
And that's another thing. Since the noobs, basically they all have to play the same 5 against the same 5 every time, so they don't get a chance to experience any other gods until they move out of that bracket. And then suddenly they're like, I know how to deal with Kali, but what about this Ares? He's suddenly here. I've never even seen him before, much less, played against him, and he just craps all over me because I don't know what he does. So I think that would vastly change things, too, if they could rotate it like that, because people that don't play all the time will get a chance to experience more, and then they'll come up with a better general knowledge than a very specific better knowledge.
I that's a good point, but I think it's more than that. I mean, obviously, I know all of us have played hundreds upon hundreds of games with the same few gods, like DM and Baka, and most people get bored as shit. They need those new gods, and if you're not willing to spend money on it, but you're getting those free gods, and you're kind of investing a little bit more time in it, say you play 10 games with each of the 5 starting gods, and then all of a sudden the week changes, and you've got new gods. Okay, so now I can spend a little bit more time in this game, and you've invested that much more time into it. You're learning that much more about it, and as you learn more about it, you become more involved in it. Mm-hmm. And so therefore, okay, well, you know what? These 5 new gods are pretty badass. Now that I've played these 2, I've got a couple of days left before they release new gods. You know what? I'm going to drop a few bucks on some gems. Yeah. So then they drop money on these gems, and then all of a sudden High-Res has a little bit more money. And hope to God they invest that in a tournament. Yeah. So obviously I'm sitting here hoping and praying that every single person, drops $1,000 on this game, hoping that you're going to see High-Res International go on for, $2 million.
But the problem with that is you have those scumbags like DM Brandon who won't spend a dime.
Exactly.
No, I have no skins and I have all the gods.
He won't even spend it with favor. Like, you can't get any more Jewish than that. No offense.
I'm
Don't worry,
just
I'm doing
like,
the same thing as him.
DM,
I-
I'll give you a high five there because I'm like you. I have not spent a dime.
My man.
Same.
And then you got, douchebag Jerb, who's got all the skins and a god pack on 2 accounts.
On 2 accounts, he's such a nerd.
Yeah.
I
kidding
just abused freebies. I got I won a giveaway for Wukong, the Wukong's gonna have, and then I won the tournament for the other 2 skins I have. And it's like I'm such a freeloading asshole.
I had almost all the gods, and then I won a tournament for 800 gems, and I won a giveaway on the high-res stream. I went in there for like 1 minute, and they're rolling as I go in, and soon it's just like, DM Brandon. And I'm like, that's right, motherfucker. Give me them gems. So then, I got all the gods, and now I have like 9,000 favor, and I have 200 gems, and like everyone's like, buy a skin. I'm like, go to hell. How about that? Like, I'm just gonna buy gods when they come out. What if I can't play for 2 weeks and I can't keep up with my favor? I'll have all the gods, and I don't have to spend money, which means I could buy sandwiches.
You must have a lot of money in real life too.
No.
I'm sure you don't. You use all that skill on the game, and you spend all your money as soon as you buy it. You get it. I do like Red Reamer's idea, which is having a 5 starter gods and then have 3 rotate or 4 rotate or something like that, where you have these base that everybody can play and know, and then you can get this cycle of new people in just to let people try out, get used to, and give them interest to come back. Because I think the biggest problem with Smite is a lot of people, they play it a couple times and then they're like, eh. And they have no reason to come back because they're not going to be able to get any higher with the gods or any farther with the gods unless they spend money or spend a whole lot more time on it.
Right.
And that's the biggest problem. We want to build a bigger community. Hi-Res needs to help us out here by giving them a little bit more free shit because everybody... It's a free-to-play game. Obviously, the free-to-play method has worked in that sense. Look at League of Legends. The more shit you give away, the more shit you get back. It's almost like
the biggest
Texas.
game on the planet.
Yeah, and so try it. I mean, the worst thing that'll happen is if you give those 3 or 4, free rotating gods around, I actually predict that people will play said god, like, say, Anubis is free this week, and you play him, and you love him. Oh, my God, he's the best god ever. I'm going to play him all this week. Then he goes off being free, and you don't have enough favor to buy him. I'll spend $10 to get him. I liked him a lot. It was a whole lot of fun playing that guy. So suddenly you're getting a lot more people buying random gems to get that one god that they got to try, and they really want him.
Yeah.
Because then they got to try him in a competitive sense, not just in the practice mode where you can run around and dick around with whatever, because it's only so exciting killing that mana core 100 million times.
I think the biggest problem with the actual just the god selection right now is that Anubis exists. I don't know a single top player who would disagree with me, because you go into a normal game, and this guy's like, no, dude, I rape with Anubis. That's my boy. And he goes in, and he's like, all you got to do, just check it out. I'm gonna build winged spear, whatever it's called, winged wand, and then I'm gonna build Chronos Pendant to get my ult cooldown off, and I'm just gonna roam, dude. We got this. And then he plays against these shit players, and he's like landing raps, and he's playing like Kobe. He's just in there. And then you go to a real, he finally gets a real opponent, and he goes to rap, and he's standing there like, what's good? And he doesn't realize that the guy not has only dodged the rap, but he's now killing him. He's already dead. He's like, and then the problem with this is that it's never because he dodged the rap. It's like, dude, he got lucky. Europe servers.
Oh, yeah.
And therefore
Anubis
you
needs to
have
be
top-ranked
taken-
games.
Anubis has to be taken out of the game. He needs to just be gone so normal games can exist.
If you could change Anubis to where he was different, what would you change things to make him more viable?
I would change it so that every time someone picked him, they lagged out of the game. And it's just 45.
The game would crash.
Yeah.
But I mean, you think they should change his bandage wrap, or maybe
I
give
have
him
no
more...
idea. I mean, there are things we can do to make him better, but in the current sense of the character, there's nothing we could do to make randoms not want to play him and not suck shit.
I think you could change him up, and I was actually thinking about this the other day. It's like, so Anubis right now is like that massive single target damage, like absolutely massive. So instead of and he's also the squishiest in the game per se, and I think it would be really cool if you change his ultimate to not do damage, but if he targets you with that beam, it turns you both to stone. So you can drop your 3 down, your grasping hands, or whatever the case may be. You have your wrapping throw out, or if you want to change that, but your ultimate makes you immune or take reduced damage, but at the same time, it completely immobilize, kind of like a banish per se, but
Ah.
on a superior magic kind of level, and take somebody completely out of the game, like during that old timer, right?
Yeah.
So you have kind of like a mesmerized gaze instead of just a direct damage,
Hmm.
and then you turn him from like that weird ass damage type to kind of support, like a
yeah.
damaging support.
Yeah. Although the only problem with turning him to stone is there's the Medusa person that's going to come into the game at some point. You can't turn him to stone.
Yeah.
Medusa does that.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
you
mean, maybe it mummy wraps them and you both stay mummy wrapped and you're
I
protected.
need
for 6
Narcissus.
seconds.
Just
Need.
I just rather see Anubis. Anubis doesn't fit. Like he has this amazing damage over time, kill a single target squishy, but that's all he can do. Like he might be able to push the lane a bit with 3, but that's about it. He can only kill squishies. That's it.
I
Hmm.
think they should just take Locust Swarm out and put something else in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Locust Swarm has like the most limited use ever. I mean, you're leveling Grasping Hands anyway, and if you're using it, essentially you're doing the smallest amount of damage ever, or you're running away hoping to kill someone because your ult didn't. Like, just we could have maybe like some type of teleport or something just to get him out of there, because like his wrap makes him stop moving. You know, I mean, his ult makes him stop moving. When he casts Grasping Hands, like, you know, he's
Slowed.
so slow.
What about letting him cast Locust Swarm while running, like Ares does with his flame?
See, that would be awesome.
That
He
would.
needs something to just get him away. Like, he needs some type of just an ability, because I mean, right now the meta is, can your character get away?
Yeah. And I mean, if you could let him run and cast it at the same time, then he could use it to kite/run away, because he'll turn around and start spraying locusts at you and back up, and hopefully you'll turn around because maybe his team's coming up behind him, and so you're taking damage, and et cetera, et cetera. You get the point. I mean, would that sound like an extremely viable fix for him then? Like
Anubis
immediate,
sucks.
they could do it right now. You know.
I mean,
He's
It's
the
not-
god of the dead.
it's not only that, it's also just like I'm saying, the meta right now, it favors tankiness and damage over just damage. Right now, Anubis deals a shit ton of damage, which is cool, but when
He's a
everyone
little
on the
tiny
enemy
baby girl.
team is tanky as hell, you're not going to do anything.
Locust Swarm has the higher scaling and base damage, but it also has the stun. What?
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 Or you
What?
mean he also has a stun with his?
Oh, while Locust it does have a higher scaling, it's much, much easier to get out of. Not to mention, like, Grasping Hands is going to slow you and cover a larger range.
He was comparing it to Box's burp.
Oh.
I think in every way, Box's burp is superior to Locust Swarm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close.
Yeah.
You can move a Bacchus burp, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it
Yeah.
stuns at the end
Yeah.
of it, doesn't it?
Dude, I can't wait.
Who's excited for Bacchus?
I
Me.
am greatly.
I am.
Not me, because I got a greedy ass team.
He's not for mid, pig.
He's my support. He's my support babe.
Nice.
Another one to add. Like I'm sick of being Hades, Guan, Ares every game. I want someone
how many guys
else.
have, like, one in your mirror?
Pretty much,
I
yeah.
don't even get that many guys.
Oh, as soon as the damn preview came out, you got Allied saying, he's like, all right, team meeting. Guys, I'd like to formally thank you for letting me main Bacchus.
That's good.
And then he was
Yeah.
sad because I told him no.
No,
The
it's my
VLG
character.
and A chat, everyone was like, "Yeah, we're gonna play Bacchus in our lane," and then someone else come out, "No, I want him in my lane." It's too bad.
Telling you now, I'm calling he's mid god.
So what you're saying now is that all the pro teams are going to be fighting each other because they're all going to be, no, I want Bacchus, no, I want Bacchus.
Oh hell yeah! You're gonna see so many disbands. It's gonna be crazy.
I don't think we're gonna see that many disbands. I don't think there's that many teams left.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
that is kind of true at the moment.
Woggle will make sure to get rid of the rest of them. Oh,
Ooh, ooh.
Oh, yeah, Woggle. That thing that I haven't played a match for yet. Yeah, that.
Wait, what?
Here's a story. One disband first match,
All right.
then one forfeit second match because they didn't they're missing 2 players. I have
Chiefs
yet to
don't
play
care.
a
We
Woggle
with people
match.
down.
Yeah, we
The
we haven't got anything to play.
sucks.
Hopefully it'll get better the later it gets. Like once they finally get down to the tournament part of it.
They should really
I mean-
stop this 10-week stuff. I mean, we're gonna fight the same 3 teams for 10 weeks.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm already kind of bored.
I mean,
Yeah.
BM, Bible Method literally just said, BLGEU king of buys because we just get forfeits and free wins everywhere we go. I don't
Well,
like it.
it's the
because
opposite
just
for us.
wastes
Even when we
time.
win, we don't get wins.
Wow.
I saw that match where you had to get like Backlaw in, and I thought that was well earned. I thought you went like 3v5 most of that, and you still
Yeah.
won,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you were denied the win. I thought it was such bullshit.
Cool. We ain't
Yeah,
mad.
don't worry, we've beaten that dead horse.
I just want to know
Yeah.
whose choice was it for
It was OL's
Well,
specifically.
no, not that. The next week when you guys did 45, couldn't you guys have waited till Sunday instead
Yes,
of
we could have, but the other team wasn't able to play Sunday. So instead of letting them get an auto loss and just having nobody play matches in our group, we decided to play man down. Because
Okay.
we're cool people like that. So instead of just letting them lose immediately, we decided we'll just take the handicap because we feel like we're handicapped there anyway, and we'll just try to win 4v5.
How did you actually start that game? I'm kind of curious.
We had Harvest come in and then just leave during loading.
Okay,
So it actually just has 4 people in the god list.
interesting. I was like, how did you get in with 4 versus 5?
Magic.
Yes, magic. Because Brandon's
Magic won us that game because Alecyte actually went left lane by himself and just spammed raw beams.
Good, good. So there's the new meta. Raw beams left only.
Raw beams left.
Cool.
But
Well-
it's actually pretty big. Raw side lane's a really big thing right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Raw's been coming back. He hasn't really been played, and then all of a sudden, the last few weeks, he's been played almost every game, it seems.
We played him last night, didn't we, Jerb?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm saying that, like, 2 weeks before this, he wasn't seen at all. Now, all of a sudden, he's coming back.
Yeah. He wasn't seen as much in competitive play. So I guess that kind of wraps up what we were shooting for here with the conversation, etc. Shall we? I guess I'll stop the official show part, and we can just screw around and chit chat or play games or whatever. Because I would like to
We'll a
play.
game. I would like to play as well.
Yes. So thank you all
Unless
for
we
joining
do
us.
this-
We're going to officially end this part of the show, which includes me stopping the recording part of it, and then we'll just get on to dicking around and having fun, and still discussing stuff. So thank you for joining us.